Alright, continuing our video series, or our mini-series, from yesterday on Deathmaster Snikch, today we're going to talk about Shadowblade, the Master Dark Elf Assassin, also known as the Death That Walks Unseen. So let's jump into Shadowblade's lore here. We're going to do our typical thing, then we'll read his special rules before going into his magic items and forbidden poisons. So, Shadowblade, the Death That Walks Unseen. Shadowblade is still relatively young, having known less than 2 centuries of Malekith's rule. His reputation, however, is legendary, and his arrogance is as bottomless as the sea. Fables of his grisly adventures are already used as stories to scare Dark Elf children. A litany of murder and terror that grows longer and bloodier with each passing day. Shadowblade's most famous exploit was the slaughter of the entire crew of a High Elf hawkship, one by one, over a period of several days. Only the horribly mutilated captain was left alive, so that he could tell of the mourning horror on the ship as the crew desperately attempted to corner Shadowblade, to no avail. Shadowblade's fabled deeds are difficult to substantiate, however, because no one has seen his face and lived. Not even Hellebrand knows for certain what Shadowblade looks like, and the master that taught him perished long ago by his pupil's blade. Furthermore, those that start spreading stories about Shadowblade tend to come to untimely ends. Whilst the master may take pride in the appreciation of his work, he does not allow wagging tongues to spill his secrets. Unlike other assassins whose loyalties often change at the drop of a purse, Shadowblade reports only to Hellebrand. It is rumored that she has used him to eliminate a great many of her political opponents. If this is the case, it would seem that only Morathi has so far been left untouched, but it remains to be seen if this is because the Hag Sorceress is a mark, even beyond Shadowblade's ability, because the kill order has not yet been given, or because the Master Assassin has other loyalties hidden even from Hellebrand. Shadowblade's a pretty cool character. He's extremely enigmatic, right? He's like master of mystique here in the Dark Elf world. We don't know his name. We never knew his name. We know he had a sister at one point that was killed during his kind of assassin initiation process by Shadowblade himself, and he dies in the end time. We find out that he actually is solely dedicated to Hellebrand, and Hellebrand gets kind of corrupted by Be'lakor, the demon, the coolest fucking demon in both lores, because he's got the coolest demon prince model. But Be'lakor corrupts the Cainites, who are pretty much cast into the shadow. When Malekith ascends to the Eternity King, he says, you know what, screw the Cult of Cain, because the Cult of Cain is what almost fucked us up to begin with. So as a result, all Cainites stop or you're dead. And Be'lakor corrupts those who pretty much are banished or forsaken from practicing, and he corrupts Hellebrand and all of her Cult of Cain, and Draika, the Dryad. And they have this kind of like a little civil war against Malekith, and Malekith almost gets killed by Shadowblade, but Shadowblade just gets killed by Malekith instead, because that's how the way End Times worked. It was, oh, we're going to get into a duel, but then it's going to be like a threesome kill fest, like an orgy of death. Like, Draika gets killed by Malekith, Shadowblade tries to kill Malekith, but Malekith kills Shadowblade. You're just like, fuck, man, this is ridiculous, but still. Shadowblade is currently dead as of End Times, so no Age of Sigmar presence for him. But I could see this being as one of those things where Shadowblade comes back in whatever Malekith's elves are going to be, and that's like it's like a title, right? Like the fan theory that James Bond was not the actual name of the agent, but was actually his call sign, which I think is a really cool mechanic here, right? Where Shadowblade is many, he's not just one, which I think is really cool. Like, that's why no one's seen his face, because it's been the same person. Like Zorro, where Zorro's mask is passed down, and it's a different person every time, topped by the previous one. And that's what I think that'd be a really cool kind of mystique there, like Dread Pirate Roberts. I can just keep going on all these little cool ones, right? But I'd love to see something like that. That's just Age of Sigmar here, so totally no Barons on Total War Warhammer. But he has all the same rules of a Dark Elf Assassin. You know, he's got his Always Strike First, his Hatred, his Hidden, his Immunopsychology, his Poison Attacks, Killer Not a Leader, like we talked about with Snikch, but also Murderous Prowess. Now, I wish that was actually Murderous Mastery. And I think that's what they might actually do if they were to bring him into Total War Warhammers, give him Murderous Mastery, so he's just even more disgusting if he makes it all the way to that meter going off. Now, he does have Dance of Doom, which is very similar to Snikch's dodge ability. Rather than it being a 4-up ward save, it's a simple 5-up ward save, which I don't know why there's a difference. I believe they have almost the exact same stat profile as far as their toughness and wounds go, so why make the Dark Elf less survivable? But neither here nor there. Also, he has the Master of Disguise ability. Now, he has this rule in the same way that the Canite Assassin can, where he can actually spawn, or I'm sorry, you can actually place him in the tabletop. You could place him within a unit, and then when you get into close combat with that unit, you say, actually, haha, this is an assassin. And you're like, oh, fuck, that guy's going to rip up this unit. They did not make that as a translation into Total War Warhammer. I don't see why they would start with Shadowblade, but I wanted to bring it up for the sake of continuity. Now, the forbidden poisons here, we already see Dark Venom and we already see Black Lotus in Total War Warhammer. Black Lotus is causes a discourage and a reduction to leadership. Dark Venom gives us a 75% bonus to weapon damage. Manbane is supposed to give us some bonuses in tabletop that I think would actually make a very easy translation if we were taking a look at it when it came to Total War Warhammer, because it's supposed to give you Killing Blow. So I just think giving it like if you were to activate it, it would have a vast increase on your melee attack. So if you have all three of these, you use Dark Venom, so you have a massive increase to your melee damage, your weapon strength. Then you have Manbane is going to increase your melee attack, so you're way more likely to hit with your souped up 75% weapon strength. That's, I think, how they would probably do that, because he already has some items like the Heart of Woe that are going to give him AP, anti-infantry, and magic attacks. So I think that if we were to give him that on a poison itself, it just wouldn't. It would be lackluster. I think what would make that poison scary is if it was that increase to melee attack. So here is his magic item then, Heart of Woe, on that note. This large ruby throbs and beats like a living heart. Should its bearer be slain, the crystal shatters into 1,000 jagged shards, impaling anyone unfortunate enough to be in the vicinity. This is kind of an item here that kind of made Shadowblade a unpopular pick. He is twice the points of Canite Assassin in tabletop. So if you took him and he got killed in your unit that you're hiding him in, and he had Heart of Woe on him, he could actually do a lot of damage to the unit, because most, if not all, elves have toughness 3. And the way that this works is when the user dies, so Shadowblade, if he dies, he basically explodes. So you center the small round template over him before removing the model as a casualty. Every model touched by the template immediately suffers a strength 3 hit. So it can actually kill almost the entire unit you're with, because strength 3 against toughness 3, that's just a 4-up, or a 4-up or 3-up. I can't remember which one it was on the wound. So I mean, it can actually do quite a bit of damage for your not very sturdy elves. So Heart of Woe here, though, I think would just be something very simple in that it grants maybe there is an explosion mechanic attached to him, or Heart of Woe gives the same kind of mechanic we see with characters like Kroq-Gar, where they can make an explosion around them to help them escape from damage quickly. Maybe that's how they're doing Heart of Woe, rather than it being, or how they would do Heart of Woe, rather than it just simply being, oh, boom, okay, well, I just leveled your entire unit, mine included. But I think it should incur some sort of AP damage, of course, some anti-infantry, duh, and again, melee damage, or I'm sorry, magic attacks, if not any incorporation of Sundering Arm or anything of the sort. I'd love to see that kind of mechanic kind of spruced in here to our little Dark Elf bro. Now, his other magic item is the Potion of Diabolic Strength. This potent magical brew, created from troll blood, chimera bile, and the heart of a black spine mountain griffin, is distilled by Crone Hellebron and gifted only to her most trusted servant. So this is a potion, just like we see above, but it has a one use only. And the way it works here is that the strength can be, the Potion of Diabolic Strength can be drunk at the start of any player's close combat phase, and after any assassins have revealed that they are hiding in a unit. Shadowblade has a +4 strength until the end of the turn. So this would, I guess, again be an increase to weapon strength on top of Dark Venom. But I think that might just be too much, right? Like, oh, okay, well, if Dark Venom gives us a 75% bonus to our weapon strength, then if we use Diabolic Strength, what, does he now get a total of 150% bonus to weapon damage? It could work. We have characters that have that kind of disgusting amount of weapon damage increase with their special abilities, but I think that it has to be something a little different, something a little bit cooler. Maybe it increases speed, and it also rejuvenates their vigor. So if it's like they're winded because they've been chasing a character, or they're trying to chase a character down, you can pop this Diabolic Strength. And, you know, demons are fast, right? So it increases their speed, reduces their, or completely wipes clean their vigor, and allows them to just kind of finish off any character they're trying to chase down. Maybe this is a great way we can make Shadowblade contend with a character on a mount. Because if a character has a horse and you get attacked by an assassin, you can really just run away. And I think maybe if Potion of Diabolic Strength gave him some sort of burst of speed, I don't want to make it give him flying. This isn't Flying Tiger Hidden Dragon, okay? It's not like that. You can't just like jump around with the Jade Seal, whatever the hell it was. The Jade Woe? The Jade something. The name of the sword that Chow Yun-Fat uses is Jade something. Great fucking movie though, by the way. So I think that, again, legendary heroes, especially for the Dark Elves, are such a huge part of their roster. I'm going to do another video next week here that's called the Dark Heroes of Nagaroth, or Nagarond, whichever one I want to do. And talking about Koron Darkhand, the Captain of the Black Guard, or Talaris Dreadbringer, the Hand of Cain. And these are two hero-level characters that are souped up leaders of both the Black Guard of Nagarond and Executions of Hargoneth. So these guys would make a really cool, fun additions to your army without being, you know, a caster, or without being a assassin or something like that. I think that's what I think legendary heroes should be, is just another way to bring some additional support to your army without something that isn't so disgustingly strong. Like maybe if it's on, like if we're taking a look at the Empire, for instance, you know, Empire generals are pretty stalwart. Empire captains are also pretty damn good. And if we have a legendary character that kind of is like an Empire captain but just adds more flavor to the army, I think it just makes it a little bit more fun to play as that army, or especially as an army that has access to a lot of legendary heroes. And every single army book has got its own spread of legendary heroes, because when you played tabletop, you were playing either 1750 was very common when it came to a fantasy game. In the Games Workshop I played at, 1750 was your 1750 points is your kind of cap. When you're playing with that, you're typically dealing with one lord, one or two heroes. When you play a 2,000 or 2,500 point army, you're typically dealing with 2 lords, 3 to 4 heroes. And in the olden days of Hero Hammer, which is I think 3rd or 4th edition, you could have something like 35% or 40% of your total points be spread across heroes or lords. These are what make Total War, or these are what make Warhammer itself fucking rad, is when you see just heroes duking it out, having a duel with one another. So I think that adding legendary heroes to the game is something that I think that Total War just kind of needs. It's more or less a cherry on top. We've gotten so many awesome things with Total War Warhammer 2. So many great rosters with the Vampire Coast, which doesn't even really exist to the extent that it is now. A nice fleshed out roster with the Tomb Kings. Beautiful models with the High Elves and the Dark Elves. Disgusting ones with the Skaven. And ancient ones with the Lizardmen. I would just love to see that little extra kind of oomph, that little extra polish onto what is Total War Warhammer 2 with the addition of legendary heroes. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching here today. Hopefully you enjoyed Turin's ever-chosen Challenger League finals. I will also be doing the same thing starting every Wednesday. I will be doing the Warpstone Cup League for the next 4 weeks. Same exact rule set as Turin's. He was saying that he wants to take a little bit of a break here now that he's done 8 weeks back-to-back. So I will continue the tradition in his stead with 4 unanswered weeks of brutality, with combatants from all over the world competing for the Warpstone Cup. But as always, guys, again, thanks for watching here today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, make a comment below, all that kind of fucking fun action that every single YouTuber always says to do. But have a good one, and take care.